You're listening to the Support Ed Learning Podcast, where we challenge the status quo of education and reimagine what learning should be. I'm Dr. Joe Sebestyen, and in every episode we dive into critical thinking, Bloom's taxonomy, educational innovation, and how AI is shaping the future of learning. Whether you're a teacher, parent, policymaker, or lifelong learner, you're in the right place to rethink, reshape, and revive education. All right. Welcome back to the Supported Learning Podcast after probably too long of a hiatus. I'm Dr. Joe Sebestyen. Joining me tonight is a friend in the educational space for a couple years, Miss Shellee Howard. How are you, Shellee?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, Joe.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much for carving out a little bit of your day to come on the podcast. And really just talk about education and college admissions. And let me introduce you a little bit to the audience, if you don't mind. So she is the founder and president of College Ready. She is a certified independent college strategist and a certified educational planner. She's a professional member of Higher Education Consults Association, or HECA. And she's had over a decade of experience guiding families through college admissions and financial strategy, with a focus on what I love, graduating debt-free college. So yeah, I mean, again, Shellee, welcome. Thank you again for coming on. So how's everything going over there in sunny California?
We are having a beautiful summer. We are already in shorts and flip-flops and living the California dream.
Amazing. My kids don't have school tomorrow because it's negative 17 degree wind chill tomorrow. So so enjoy that out there. So yeah, I mean, we obviously, my audience, we focus a lot on the AP courses, but obviously we have kind of talked about a lot of things in education, but I guess just help me get started with, how did you first get into college admissions and then planning, things like that?
It's such a great story because it was really mom on a mission. My firstborn came home spring about this time, 8th grade, and he bolts in the door and I'm in the kitchen just making a snack. And he says, "Mom, I know exactly what I want to do when I graduate from high school." And I'm like, "What? You know that I changed my major 5 times. Like that, are you joking with me?" He's like, "No, Mom." I said, "What happened today at school?" And he says, "Well, the high school counselor came in to our class and said we need to pick classes and we should probably pick classes based on what we want to do." I'm like, "That sounds wise." And I said, "So what did you tell her?" Because we talked about a lot of things. When he was little, he wanted to be a toll booth collector where people just threw money at him.
I don't know. Right?
Right? He was like, "That sounds like a great job. I play my Game Boy, people throw money at me." And then as he got a little older, he's like, maybe that's not so wise. Maybe I get bored. And then he's like, "I'm going to be a lifeguard because they sit there all day and look at the ocean. That sounds amazing."
Right.
So we went from this huge throw money at me to I just want to live a chill life. And now the kicker is I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to one of those Ivy things. And I was like, "Wow, okay, that sounds amazing." And he starts to walk out, of course, sandwich in hand. And he turns around and he goes, "Well, can you help me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course. I'm your mom. That's what we do. I've got this." And then he walks out and my heart's beating. I thought he could hear it through my chest. We have no doctors in our family. We have nobody in the medical profession. I'm like, what in the world? So I'll give you the short version because it is the evening. Bottom line is I took him to his high school counselor and I said, "Hey, can you tell her what you told me? Because I don't want to be that parent. I really this is your thing." He says, "Yeah, so I want to be a brain surgeon. I want to go to this Ivy school." And she looked at him and said, "Why would you waste your time or money doing that? They don't make money anymore because insurance has ruined it."
Wow.
And it was dead quiet after that. He was
Really
so disheartened. And this is not a bash on high school counselors at all. This is one person's opinion.
No, I know.
But the reality is he was so frustrated and discouraged. He's like, I guess we're done. And we walked out and he looked at me and he's like, now what? And I said, don't worry, we
Mhm.
got this. We'll figure it out. So for 4 years, I went back to school, got my master's degree, went back to school, became an independent certified college strategist, financial strategist, started touring 25 colleges a semester for 4 years, spent 30 hours a week on top of my full time career. And he applied to 12 schools, got into 11, and had 7 full ride offers.
Oh,
Got a
wow.
full ride to USC, and Harvard matched it. So he ended up going to Harvard completely at no cost to us.
That is amazing. Congratulations to you on a one for one journey, right?
Yeah,
Right?
right. So that was
sometimes,
number one.
sometimes the kids would test. Yeah, that's impressive. So that's where it
And
started.
that's where it started. And I really never thought this would be my career. I truly was doing it for my son.
Yeah.
But what happened is we were at his graduation, and a young man sitting next to me at graduation probably didn't know I was his mom. He got up to give the salutatorian speech, and he leans over and he goes, "Dude, I didn't even know that kid was smart." And I'm like, "Dude, like he's talking to me," and he didn't think he was smart. Well, he was captain of his soccer team. Like that's how this
Yeah.
young man knew him. And I thought, wow, my son had a normal, fun life and still got to his dream school. And at that point, everybody started coming to me and saying, will you help my child? Will you help us? And so it really took over my other business. It wasn't something I truly sought out. But now, 18 years later, I love it more than ever.
That's a great story. It's funny because I can empathize with your son because I was just reflecting on this with a couple parents on our calls, and that I was like, I remember being in my aunt's house, some stranger that knew my aunt literally discouraged me probably in sixth or seventh grade for discouraged me from pursuing being an architect
Wow.
because I wanted to be an architect because like there's a lot of math and I was just you're not that good at math, and so like right there just okay, not going to do that
Mm.
and not even pursue it any further. So kudos to you to kind of push through that because like you said, it's not necessarily the teacher or the counselor, but sometimes the system encourages a fixed mindset or limiting beliefs,
Mm-hmm.
and so we have to kind of break through that. And you've worked with, I'm sure, not only hundreds, potentially thousands of families at this point. What are you seeing with families that make you think this system is broken? We're not like bashing any individuals, but just the system is kind of not working as it should be.
Well, first, and I love to say it has not as much to do with private, public, big, small. It
Mm-hmm.
really is social media.
Mm,
Social media has taken over such a lot, and I have nothing against social media either.
right.
So it's not like I'm bashing anybody. I'm just stating a fact. Kids are seeing everybody's best day. And then
Mm,
they reflect on themselves and they're like, well, my life's not that great. I'm not that smart. I'm not that pretty. I'm not enough. And now they're going through some anxiety and some depression and some heavy emotional stuff that I'm telling you, I don't remember my son's generation going through that. I sure don't remember it in my generation, or at least we didn't talk about it. But
right.
this generation, it's forefront. I can't tell you how many families say, Shellee, we know college ready is the best. We want to hire you, but can you guarantee you will not freak our kid out? Because on social media, everybody is screaming about what's the best thing to do for summer? What's the best thing to do for, summer programs or research or internships? And they just said, we just want our children to be normal, happy, and have a great launch into life.
Mm,
I said, that's exactly what College Ready does. We're not into pounding a child down or making it so they don't get to sleep at night. And that to me is, I think, a really important thing for families to realize. It's not just the institution, it's the club sports coach. They have to pick one sport when they're in middle school. I played 4 sports,
right.
right? Like they're putting so much pressure on these kids. And some of them want it. My firstborn was like, bring it. Like, is that all you got? I can take more. I have 4 kids. My fourth was like, this is too much. I don't want to do this anymore. Why am I doing this? And so just in that span of my own children's, upbringing, I'm seeing that our culture, the system, and also what these kids are seeing in front of them.
The the social media is an interesting point because we get a lot of similar parents that have gone through multiple advertising funnels. And so, there's so much bad information out there. So you're more seeing it not necessarily in terms of education, but the people who want private coaching, they're just being misled for all this other stuff you have to do. That's not the actual truth, right?
Yeah, I had a lady tell me today that she didn't need my services because they're only going to apply to one school, UCI, and yeah, and that her kid does not need language, and that they were just going to, fill out a few applications. She was adamant that, that was her plan, her strategy, and it was just going to be fine. And her kids were looking at her like she had lost her mind.
Yeah.
They knew the difference, but this poor woman, I just, sometimes people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And it's part of what's going on. If you go into any social media group, these parents are just sharing a bunch, not even parents, a lot of people are sharing stuff that's not even true or right. And these parents, hearing, oh, you don't need to take the AP exam. What is that all about? It is mind blowing to me. And that's why I decided we've just got to break through and let families know that there is a right strategy. It's like playing Monopoly. There's a
Yeah.
right way to play the game.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's the drawback too. We have so much information out there, but there's so much misinformation, and social media, like how TV, like it creates the great equalizer of information and platforming, right? Lewis Black, I remember it was he's a comedian and just talked about how you literally can have a person that's a Holocaust survivor, and unfortunately, there's not too many left, if any, then at this point, but a Holocaust survivor on TV with a person who denies the Holocaust, and in that medium, they are equal, right? They're not, right, but they in that format, it's like it's so hard. So like when you see someone on social media that is literally saying, "I have a secret formula," it's kind of like hogwash in that because we don't know, but we're being inundated with that to believe there's FOMO, we're missing out on something.
Mhm.
So I think that authentic voice, because of your personal experience, like where did that shift happen? I mean, was it just because people started asking you, or where did it become this is your professional mission?
Well, when the need became greater than what I could do on top of my full-time career. So
Okay.
I was kind of being inundated by the need, and I was doing it on top of my full-time career. And so I was like, something's got to give. I was still a very active mom and wife, and I was like, I love inspiring students to have impact. That's what we get to do. And
Right.
there is nothing better than having a student call me and say, Shellee, we just got into school X. And I'm like, when are we
Right.
leaving? That sounds amazing.
Right.
And they go, I got to go and call my parents and let them know. And I'm like, you called me first? That is
Didn't even know.
crazy. And so it's that kind of impact and inspiration that I knew I wanted more of.
Mm.
And, doing it for my own all four of mine got into their dream school and graduated without debt. And I could have ended there. I really could have. But I saw the need and these parents that were stressed out and overwhelmed and so scared of doing it wrong and letting their child down or going into massive debt and using their retirement to pay for college. Like there was all this
Mm.
stuff. And I realized that, this is my mission. It's not just a job. This is what I'm on fire for. And so
Mm.
my passion really changed into my career because I was doing it for free and realized, wait a minute, there's so much that I do and my qualifications and success. So in 18 years, every single one of my students has gotten into college, every one of them. So I'm 100% success rate. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's
Right.
they're getting what they asked for. That is such a huge accomplishment.
So, what is the problem College Ready is ultimately trying to solve?
The number one thing we're trying to solve is helping parents understand they need a plan.
Mm.
So many people are going about it as, well, I got through it on my own. I applied on my own. I put a stamp on an envelope and I was fine. I typed it on a typewriter. I only used whiteout twice. So we come in with this mindset of what it was like 20, 30 years ago when it
Right.
wasn't as competitive and it sure wasn't as expensive. And I'm having to help families understand not only does the FAFSA look at the second semester of the sophomore year, so that's the financial benchmark right there.
Mm.
If families are waiting, they're losing money. Like that to me, everybody should know that that's an important time in your family's life. And nobody talks about it in high school. Nobody's talking about it. Most financial advisors don't even realize it. So I'm on a mission to impact this industry and let families know with a plan comes a standout strategy, comes clarity, comes
Mm.
confidence, enjoying the last 4 years with your child at home and not fighting every day. Have they done their essays? Have they completed their applications? And just really stepping in. I use an analogy. You can take off on a short runway and it's a really scary takeoff. I think the pilots actually warn us coming out of
Mm.
John Wayne, Orange County. They're like, you've not done this before. It's going to feel weird and a little scary. And it does. Versus like LAX, we have this huge, long, long, long runway. And you're like, are we going to even take off? And you're relaxed and it feels good. And everything is, it's the same thing. It's like in your world. If somebody comes to you the night before an AP exam, how much can you help them?
Right.
Not a lot.
Right.
But if they
Not a
come
lot.
to you in January and they're like, okay, game on, what am I strategy? How do we prepare? That's
Mhm.
better. But think about it if they did it in the fall and they were
Right.
planning as they were learning it the first time. To me, that's where all of the stress comes from is
Right.
lack of planning, lack of strategy. How's your child going to stand out from their GPA and test score? Guess what? Everybody's got a
You're
good
right.
GPA and test score.
Hmm. And by the time we're getting to like spring of their junior year, it's kind of too late to implement a strategy. That's like application time.
It's tough. It's not too late, but it is tough. The reason I say that is students have usually done some pretty great stuff, but they have
Hmm.
no clue how to use it. An
Right.
example would be National Honor Society. Almost every student I work with is some part of CSF or one of the big societies.
Hmm.
And a student will write as their activity, National Honor Society. At some schools, it's a pizza party. At other schools, it's an intense, rigorous application process against thousands of students to be able to even be in this organization.
Right.
Colleges don't know which one you're in. And if
Right.
a student does not know how to explain that, that's part of the strategy. So it's
Hmm.
not necessarily it's too late because we can take things and help them really get the juice out of it, but they're used to texting a very basic thought and they don't realize if they don't sell themselves, colleges will never get to know them.
Mm. I love that. That's a very good point. Well, you know, it has changed a lot in 10 years. It has changed a lot in 5 years. It's actually changed a lot in 2 years. especially with AI. And so, I guess, how is, from your perspective, now as you've gone through a couple of cycles with it, how is AI changing the college admissions landscape right now?
So colleges are very aware. So first, I have to let families know they're not shocked of what's going on. I do
Mm-hmm.
a lot of uh, continuing education, and this is a hot one for me. So what has happened is last year we warned students take all AI off your computer that you're going to be applying with. Take off Grammarly, take off it everything, strip it down. Don't let it touch your computer. Because last year we had 20, I think it was 27 students that we caught with our AI checker before they ever sent it off to college. So we were able to scan it, find AI. We brought it to their attention. Of course, the student said, but I didn't do it. You know what? I didn't do it. Right. And okay, they didn't, but they may not have realized that AI touched it because it's everywhere now.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell students, do not use AI to write your essay. They're going to know.
Mm-hmm.
It's everybody still knows the difference, right? And
Right.
I tell parents, don't touch their essay because we were taught period double space. Now it's period single space. So parents, you give it up all the time.
Right.
And so just your child is applying for school. We want them to feel confident that they can do it on their own. And that means if they're going to use AI to brainstorm or to, put the structure together, do it on another computer.
Right.
It's kind of like when this one is a great one. Parents, you'll love this. Student told me I did not use AI. And I said, okay, so show me, what you did. And so he showed me in Google Drive how he did his essay. Well, in Google Drive, you can go back in history. and
Copy and paste, right?
it
Or
was a
something.
copy and paste. It was not a creation. And
Right.
so I'm not looking to hurt a student or to make them in
No, no,
trouble,
yeah.
but I'm saving students from themselves because they think that they are smart enough to outsmart college.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're helping our students know it's very dangerous to think you are smarter than a college.
Well, it's interesting because like the job market has gone the complete opposite way, where if you don't have the keywords, you're gonna get your resume will not even get past the AI track, the checkers, right? It's like matching keywords, which is crazy because it's completely run. The first screenings are all done by AI now. But do you see AI genuinely help families in any way? Does it like is there anything that is helpful in your opinion that you've seen that's actually helping families with the planning process for college admissions using AI?
It's caused more problems than anything.
Really?
And the sad part is, AI is only as good as the data. Well, where is it pulling the data from? A lot of resources that are not good resources. I've
Mm,
been telling families forever that US News and World Report is a marketing tool for colleges. And so if AI is pulling from that as one of the resources, they're going to be pulling data that's different from what the college is actually experiencing. And so we're seeing a lot of people who are self diagnosing. My son's a doctor, and he tells me, Mom, people come in and they give me their plan of how they're going to be treated. And that's what AI is causing. He's like, they just need me to write the script or to do the surgery, but they're telling me how it's going to be done. That's the same thing I'm finding with college admissions is people come to me and they're like, well, I've done this research and this is the right way to do it. And I'm like,
mm,
absolutely not. If you do
that's
that,
cool.
you are going to be you're going to be in trouble. It's not going to be pretty. So we're still seeing that it's actually hurting families more than it's helping them.
Mm. So, I talk to a lot of the same families you talk to, and I mean, everyone has a goal of Harvard. Everyone has a goal of an Ivy League or a top 25. And I use this as I said, there's more. valedictorians in the United States than there are open positions in the Ivy Leagues.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's true, that means not every valedictorian gets in, right? So they aren't looking for always the top, but and then there's also tons of ramifications and different strategies. We can go on and on about early decision, early action, things like that. But your mission is different than a lot of the other, let's call them other college missions companies out there that have some aggressive marketing. But there is an affordability question here as well, because it has become insanely expensive to a point as this lifelong educator even considering if his daughter should go to college at this point. Like if the return on investment will be there. But I guess, where do families break the admissions and affordability system without realizing it?
So it's important to do a self-check first. Why is the student going to college? Are they going for a badge of honor for the parent to wear on their sleeve? Are they going because it's going to set their child up for the alumni that will change their life forever, as in the case of my son attending Harvard? Are they going because it's close to home? Are they going because it's got a great view from the dorms? I've heard all of these to be true. And until we can get really clear by why are they getting educated in the first place, what career will that feed into? Will AI be taking over that career by the time they graduate? Which I can tell students this. Do they need an education from a top 12 school, a top 50 school? What is that? Remember, our UCs are theory-based education. The Cal States are hands-on education. So how does your child learn, and what do they want to do after? Right? If you go to Cal Poly SLO and you're in engineering, they have lined up people waiting for those graduates. Like, you will never have to worry about a job. If you do the same major at, I won't say which UC.
You could say UC Berkeley or UCLA. We're not.
I won't say, because I value all schools. I don't have an opinion. And they're coming out with a theory-based education, and these employers are like, we don't care how much theory you know. We need practical. We need you to hit the ground running. What do you got? And so I have to help families understand first the why. Why are they going to college? Why that college? And why are they going to spend that much on an undergrad if they're going to do a grad, a MBA, a PhD, whatever that is? They need to graduate, right, at the top of their class in college to go on. So that was my worry for my son, to be honest. He was really good in his high school, but I was scared he was going to go up against all of the best at Harvard and then not be the best.
He went to med school though, right?
Yeah, well, it turned out he only got 1B at Harvard, so apparently he was at the right school. And he loved every second of it. He was in a final club and he rode crew and he had the life. He really did.
There you go.
He did work hard, but he went on to UC San Diego Medical School, but it's because he got a 98 on his MCAT score.
Right.
Okay. So Harvard, the hard classes set him up for success on the MCAT. And that's what many families aren't thinking about. They're like, we'll have them just do psychology undergrad and then take the MCAT. I'm like, that absolutely sounds terrible. Now they have to self-study for the MCAT and they haven't taken the prereqs. So families, they want to believe what they're hearing. And unfortunately, I can tell them a million times over that that strategy is not a good plan.
Yeah, I guess what's an invisible decision made in early high school that limits options later for families?
Oh, that's allowing your freshmen to pick their first high school classes. There's no doubt that is the number one thing that people chase their tail on. Or here's another one. You can start using the day you promote from 8th grade, that summer going into high school, to count towards college. Kids are doing nothing during that time. They're just chilling. And that's a whole couple of months to get a jump on community service, on leadership, on extracurriculars. So
Mm.
it's stuff they just don't know. But allowing your freshmen to pick their first classes, they're going to take regular English, regular history, ceramics. They're sure not going to take a language if they have a choice. Let's be honest. So it is so hard to take a student who gets on that path and put them on the other path to get
Right.
where they want to go. And that's where we see mistake after mistake. Then they go to summer school, they take the wrong classes, or they have to remediate, or it just gets ugly once they start down that wrong path.
What do you see? I know we know grades are important, scores are important, but what signals also matter more than grades, but parents overlook? So, like, is there something that parents are consistently overlooking outside of grades that they should know about in terms of the college admissions process?
Yes, and it really depends on the child, but I can speak generically. So, most parents are pushing their kids to take the hardest classes and to get the best grades. That's pretty consistent, I would say,
Yeah,
across the board.
I see that a lot.
People still believe that testing is optional. And this is
Mm.
the scariest thing that I'm trying to tell parents is it's never really been optional, because my students put it in an essay that they got a 36 after studying super hard. So now can they unsee that 36 on their ACT? Like, you have to be in the mind of the person who is reading this, right? They can't unsee that. But here's the thing, there were students this year who didn't take the test because their dream school was optional. Well, it became required this year. And
Mm-hmm.
now all of a sudden they couldn't apply to their dream school. So it's what parents don't know and what students don't want to do. Those two things are the biggest setbacks for families. But here's how they get ahead. Here's the good stuff. They want to know, parents, if you can just lock into this. Who is your student? What matters to them, and how have they proven it? If you can just show the
Wow.
colleges those three things, you're golden, because
Right.
you're unique. Guess what? College is a business. They want you to come make their school better. So when you leave, you put the diploma on the wall and you start marketing for them. They're not looking for you to come sit in a seat, take an education, and just drift away. That is not going to help them one bit. So they're looking for change makers. They're looking for passion with a purpose project, a strategy that includes more than sign up and show up. They really want to see, what is that student made of? Who are they? Well, guess what? Students look at their phone, they don't know. They're not
Mm-hmm.
playing on the street all day. They're not doing the stuff that generations before them could tell you. Parents, I encourage you, ask your child, look them in the eye and say, "Who are you?" And they're going to think you're nuts. But really listen and say, "No, no, tell me, who are you?" And they're it's blank. And then ask them, "Who would your best friend say you are? Who would your
Right.
grandparents say you are?" They get embarrassed. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. They just talk about me all day long. It's just ridiculous." And I'm like, and that is what you have to do on your college application.
Because they don't know you. Because they're looking at literally thousands of applicants, and how do you stand out for that?
Yeah.
Is that I guess if you could redesign emissions from scratch, what would you remove first?
From a parent's perspective or a child's perspective?
Give me both.
Well, so we're a global consulting firm. And so I have toured colleges all over the world. And because my youngest, my fourth, graduated with a dual US and European degree, I can do
Oh
a
wow.
strong comparison of our US schools and our European schools. And will tell you there's many things that the European schools are doing way better than the US schools, and vice versa. So I would take the two of them and I would blend the best of the best of the best.
Mhm.
Our schools here in the US have gotten all about the labels. We're an IB school, or we're a top 5 school, or they're not even asking the student, who are you? They're not teaching financial literacy so a child can understand that $97,000 a year to go to NYU to do botany is a bad investment.
four
So,
hundred thousand dollars to get a botany degree, unless you're Matt Damon in The Martian, that it can save your life. But
I talk to students all day long, and what we're missing is nobody's asking them, why botany? I'm just curious. Tell me, what about botany do you love? Student told me the other day, this is a true story. She said, well, I want to save the environment. And I was told that if we plant plants, I can save the environment. So I said, so really, you want to save the environment? Do you even enjoy planting? She goes, no, I don't like getting my fingernails dirty. And that was just a pure example of students not understanding what they're applying for, right? It's the student whose parents say, you've loved Legos since you were 3, you need to go into engineering or architecture.
right, please. I like Lincoln Logs and Legos. Thought that's all it was to it. Apparently, it was a lot of math. I'm not an architect now. So, I also wanted to be a naval aviator in 8th grade because I watched Top Gun for the first time too. That didn't happen either. I wanted to be a movie director, writer and director. My parents wouldn't let me come to California, and they weren't paying for NYU, and those are the only 2 film schools I knew. So, a lot of dreams were crushed prior to me being in 11th grade. Just FYI, Shellee. So there's still hope for me, but that's
Ugh.
But NYU is $100,000 a year.
Right now it's 97, but by the time these kids get there, it's going to be the first over 100 grand a year.
Because like the person I was talking to yesterday who graduated from it, I was like, it was known as a commuter school. It was like back when I went to school, it was a commuter school. Okay, so is graduating debt free harder today, or are families just asking the wrong questions?
Families are 100% asking the wrong questions.
So what are the right questions?
So here's the first thing you want to realize is 97% of families complete the FAFSA wrong. So the number one thing they have to do is read the directions and only answer what is asked. Parents are inflating, bragging, if you will, about all the money they have, and then they wonder why they can't get scholarships. So it's important, families, that you understand you can know your student aid index right now. I can give you that information straight away. You want to know what's on the FAFSA and what is not on the FAFSA. Super important. It's not just how much money you make. It's where are your assets held and where's your child's assets held. So there's a lot of misunderstanding. And I promise you, I have lots of families who don't make enough money to write a big check, and lots of families who can't afford it, and lots of families in the middle. Keep in mind, I had 29 students last year earn, not be given, earn over $10.3 million in scholarships.
Wow, that's impressive.
So for people who think that there's not money, there's 10 colleges that are tuition free. A student just has to work at. That's it. So for kids who say, I can't afford college, that just means they're not willing to work for it. So it's really important. You can start completing scholarship applications in 8th grade for college all the way through. So there's a lot of misinformation, and a lot of people have, especially college consultants, college admissions consultants, they don't know any of this. And they're just telling kids, you want to go to engineering, go to MIT, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the parent can't afford MIT?
Right.
Now somebody's going to take on this massive debt. Is it going to be worth it? Maybe, but maybe not. So we want students to have a balanced college list where they're going to get some big money. You can do financial negotiations, reconsiderations. There's ways to get off the wait list. All of this is possible. And yet parents are just discouraged, throwing up their hands, and they say, we're not going to get any money. I make too much. That's just the end of it. I hear that every single
Mm,
day. I live in Orange County, California. Just to live here disqualifies me from getting any type of money just to live here.
right.
And so I tell families all the time, my son earned it. I had a 529 that almost cost him his full ride.
Really?
So, oh yeah, Harvard said, you did a great job. You don't need our money. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And I moved it to my second child as fast as you can breathe. So there's things that parents just don't understand. And you definitely do not want to leave it up to your teenager, because that is asking for trouble. There are
Absolutely.
very few teenagers, if any, who really understand what taking on $400,000 in debt will do to their future.
What was the biggest financial mistake you've helped a family avoid?
Oh gosh, there's so many. Well, I would say probably the biggest one I see the most often is they try to outsmart the FAFSA.
Yeah.
I even had one family get a divorce because they thought that that would help their child.
Really?
Uh, oh yeah, truly, they got a divorce. They still live together, but on paper they were divorced. I've had families who have moved to different states in an
Try to
effort
avoid.
to try to get residency. I mean, trust me, I have seen it all in 18 years. It blows your mind what parents are willing to do. But the biggest mistake that I can tell you is just putting your head in the sand, letting your child apply to a school that is very stingy and that is very expensive, and you go early decision and it's binding. You just put your whole family in debt. That's a big one.
We had a story. So one of our counselors at the school said about had a full ride to Pitt, but one early decision to one of the Ivy Leagues, got $0 from that school and got accepted an early decision. And now they were on the hook for the whole thing when they had a full ride at a very good school, which is insane.
That's what I tell people. I say, unless it's your dream school and you can write a check for the full cost and it's not going to hurt, early decision's risky. But of course, colleges give you, like, I don't know, at some schools it's like 1.2% greater chance of getting in. Well, remember, college is a business. You're telling them you will attend there, so their success rate goes up, and you're going to pay full price. Who wouldn't buy that car?
Right.
Who wouldn't buy that home? Like all
I'll
day
pay more.
long.
I'll pay more than sticker for it, actually. Um, what do you? I guess how do you know a college was a right choice or a good choice? 5 years down the line.
I follow students, so most of my students stay in touch. We become quite like family, and so many times a student still believes they should have gone to school A, B, or C, but yet they don't go to that school for whatever reason. And it truly works out that they tell me every time, Shellee, that was the best fit school. I met my best friend or my significant other, or the connections I made, or I mean, it goes on and on and on. So, one, we keep in touch. Two is I tour 20 colleges every year
Oh wow.
still. And so when I'm there, I talk to students who are there.
Right.
I don't just walk around, I engage. How do you like it here? Was this a good choice? Are you glad you came? And it's totally random, and they love to talk to me about it. We're sitting at lunch having a conversation. And of course, I tell them what I do. I'm not a total stalker, but, really asking students when they graduate, I have many of them on my podcast, Parents Is Your Teen College Ready? And I interview my past students and they talk about where they felt it was the best fit or the best decision or it set them up for success. So I think, it's proof. It really comes down to asking and following up and making sure that it was a good fit.
Okay, I like that. So you do stay in touch with your kids long after it is. So that's awesome. Are you ready for? I'll give this little segment here, rapid fire. You ready for this?
Already.
All right, cool. So, all right, just basically, it's like five. I think we got 5 questions. Just first thing that comes to your mind, not necessarily explanation. If we want to go deeper, we can. But are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. One thing parents overthink.
What school their kids should go to.
One thing parents underthink.
How their decision will impact their child's future.
Most overrated admissions metric.
Top rankings by U.S. News and World Report.
Best question every family should ask a college.
Can I graduate in 4 years?
One sentence every 8th grader. One sentence every 8th grade parent should hear.
One sentence every 8th grade parent should hear. If you don't have a plan for college, you plan to fail.
Ooh. If you're not planning to succeed, you're planning to fail. I love it. All right. Well, Shellee, that was a quick hour. I'll tell you what, 55 minutes, even with the technical difficulties, still great. So, but Shellee, I appreciate you coming on. Where can families learn more about your work?
So for your listeners, I have a few gifts. The first one I'd like to give is a complimentary college ready check sheet. So basically, if you go to www.collegereadyplan.info, so it's college ready plan, right?
We're going to just, with the magic, we're going to drop it down. We're going to have it right in the lower bar when we edit this. So.
.info. And you sign up for 30 minutes. We just go through everything that you've done and we're like, here you go. Are you ready? Or are you not ready? And now you have a plan, right? That's a gift. The second thing is both of my best-selling books, How to Send Your Student to College Without Losing Your Mind or Your Money, and the College Admissions Plan Simplified, are on Amazon for 99 cents for your listeners. So every high school should be giving these books out. It is the basic principles of what you need to know if you want to go to college without going into debt.
Anyway, okay. So we'll share those links. Appreciate that, Shellee. If listeners remember just one idea from today, what should it be?
Don't think that a GPA and a test score are enough. It's important that colleges get to know who you are, what matters to you, and how have you proven it. That's what they want to know.
Love it.
And you've got this.
Yeah. Who else should we be talking to in this space? Or anyone else you recommend that you've come across that we should be talking to learn more?
As far as learning more, I would say essay editing is a really important piece of this strategy. We have professional essay editors. And if you're going to do it on your own, at minimum, you got to have one. They polish, they don't write it.
Right.
And it's so worth it. We have essay strategists that work with our students to help them to format their ideas with the hook. And it's different than a high school essay. They have such little time. And so I would really focus on that. I would also encourage families to really get to know what their child is passionate about and lean into that without judgment. That's an important piece where many teenagers get super frustrated with their parents. They just don't feel that their parents value what they care about. And so it's an important balance for them. And I just think that the more you can lean into whatever that passion is, tie that into community service, and that becomes something so much more impactful that will inspire your child for many, many years. I took my son to Kenya, Africa when he was 17. He just graduated from UCLA orthopedic residency. 2 weeks after his graduation, he's going back to Africa to prepare surgery.
Oh, wow.
It changed his life.
That's an awesome story. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is some of the
Important.
most, I mean, to that point, to a lesser extent, like I was very envious of my friend who went to Duquesne, and they had a sister school in Rome. And so I wanted to study abroad, but being in education, it was not ability. But then I found out you could student teach abroad. And so through my professor for my department chair of history, got linked up with University of Northern Iowa, even though I was in Pennsylvania, got placed in Budapest, Hungary. And like just the 3 months, just being able to teach in a different environment, 100%. I mean, I would not be here today if it wasn't for that experience. Got me to move away from my hometown. Like it just, it is great. And there is I think, with that is, I know you've planned out your 4 children, but there is no correct path to get to what you want. And the journey can lead you a bunch of different ways. But I think what you said is so true. And what we tell is that why, right? Because if it is a doctor, does it really matter how you get there if that's the ultimate goal, right? So there's a million different pathways to there, but that why has to be stronger because it can be tough. It's not going to be as easy and straightforward as you think it's going to be. But ultimately, if you're guided by that why, you'll get there. So
The why is so important. And the other thing is you don't have to fight with your child when it's their idea.
Right.
Once it's their why, they're on a mission and you better just stand back and hope you can hold on. When they don't have the why, it's a constant battle to get things done because they don't see what's in it for them.
Right. I know. And I think the only path is BSMD for medical school. I'm like, that's not. There's a lot of other options out there too.
Sure.
So,
Yeah. Well,
anyway.
thank you so much.
Shellee, thank you. I appreciate you taking out an hour of your busy schedule. Thanks for joining us on the Supported Learning Podcast. If today's conversation inspired you, challenged you, or sparked a new perspective, be sure to subscribe and share with a fellow changemaker. We'll be back soon with more voices, more insight, and more ways to elevate the future of learning together. Until then, keep learning and keep pushing the conversation forward.